Good afternoon. Almost. It's 12. I wanted to get on here and talk just a little bit about our homeschool journey. We are very new to this. This is our first year. I have family and friends that's homeschooled. This is just our first year. I wish I would have done it sooner. I can definitely say that. I wish life did not, that is not what life handed me in the beginning. I wanted to, and it just did not work out. But I will say the very first time that, let's see, when my oldest, and my 16-year-old, when he was 4, I had some friends at the time who were really good friends of mine. And he got in, the husband, it was a husband and a wife, the husband got into selling this particular curriculum, and it was called, I can't remember if it was the Noah Plan or Noah Plan. I can't remember. It was NOAH, and all those were like the acronym, and I do not remember what it stood for. I could probably find, I still got the books, but I bought those from him, and I was so overwhelmed with, it was so hard. And I'm not like, I was probably 24, something like that, years old. And 2 small children, you know, a four about to be 5 and a 3-year-old about to be 4. They're 13 months apart. So this curriculum, I couldn't read it without falling asleep. And I'm not to say that I'm just not that, I'm just going to say it, I'm just not that smart. And it involved, no, not right now. It involved reading like parts of the Constitution and things like that. So I still, to this day, if I still have the books because I could not sell them. I just couldn't, nobody wanted them. I understand what it's trying to do. It was just so complicated. So I still have the books. I still pull out the books sometimes, and I cannot, even in just trying to follow the day-to-day part of it, and do not do what you're about to do.
What?
Don't. You can go over there and do it. Not right here. Way over there toward the garden. I still can't follow it. It's just, the layout is just too much. And I do believe that particular curriculum had schools further out, like nowhere near where I was. It was just too much. So I gave up and put them in public school. It actually helped because my oldest was very emotional. He could not, at 5, he could not stop crying to do school with me. I mean, but so I put my daughter under him. She went to kindergarten. He went to first. He was not behind in no way, shape, or form. He just emotionally, he couldn't. And they stayed in there till about 5th grade, I think, maybe 4th and 5th, somewhere around there. And a local church here opened up a school. It wasn't a church school. It just was a lot of church. The church sponsored like the school. And it was a charter school. They opened up the school, and my kids went. Well, I have always loved the idea of homeschool, just not thinking I was capable. I just wasn't. And as my kids got a little older, and my youngest started in school, I cannot stand not having anything to do. Like, you know, you can only shop so much. Like, it's like, and in the off season when you can't garden, I can't stand it. So I went and subbed at the kids' school, and I fell in love with it. I did not know that I like to learn as much as I do. I knew I liked to learn about the Bible, but I didn't know it was just I like to learn. I like to just put information in. And when I would go into the school, sometimes I would be straight teaching. Like they hand you the whatever they're called, the papers that's got lines of what they need to teach for each day of each week. And there'll be times that, if I had to sub for 3 weeks or whatever because the teacher was out, whether it be extreme sickness or whatever, surgery, and it didn't matter. I was teaching, and I loved it. I loved it. And I didn't have a preference for grade. Like, sometimes the classes, like the kid in the class would be just, like, too much. But it wasn't. I loved it. I got up on into the older grades where my kids were. Because the charter school went from kindergarten through high school. I mean, so it had all. So there was no telling what grade I would be in while I was subbing. And it was harder for me in the older grades because the kids, and my kids are the same way, they don't really want to learn. It is almost a pointless act to have them learning stuff. They don't want to learn. So if you teach them something and they don't understand, they're most likely going to say, yeah, I got it. They don't got it. The real smart, the ones that are just more ahead or just more mature, whatever. There's a few of those that do. Go play. So I caught myself wanting to know more every time I subbed in those classes, and I didn't know the math. In those classes, or actually anything in those, it was too far for me. I could talk about things that I knew, but as far as like what they were learning, I would ask them, so what are y'all learning? Because I was curious. So that went on. I subbed there for, I think, a year. I think I did a whole year. I ended up actually doing some work in the office. Love that too, because that's what I did out of high school. All that to say, I felt the Lord calling us to come out when some things happened at the school. Nothing like crazy, just they were moving in a direction that I did not want to go, and I did not want my kids going there. I had always said if something happened, my kids will not go back to public school. They will be homeschooled. Not knowing that was going to happen real quickly. So I made the decision. Well, me and my husband talked about it. We made the decision to pull them out. And it was mostly everything at the school going on was pertaining to my high schoolers, but why pull 2 out when you don't pull the 3rd out? He's so young. He's in 2nd grade. He's just now putting down the foundation. So it was fine. So I prayed, and we took them out, and a good friend of ours, he's actually, their family is a good friend of ours, but the son is been friends with my son since they started school. And he didn't like school, and he was actually behind, not because of his capability, because he needs it's actually his surroundings. I noticed that a lot of kids, there's too many kids in one class, or that child just gets distracted really easy, and that's this young man. His name's Dakota, but he just gets distracted, and that's it. It isn't that he can't do it. It's not that he's not capable. He just gets distracted so fast, and it takes a minute to get him back on. Well, when you get a class full of 20-something teenage kids, especially boys together, they can't stop cutting up to save their lives. They're like little kids, like 2nd graders. They can't stop. And if they don't fear the teacher and the punishment and whatever, you're not going to get them to stop. So that's kind of what was happening. So his mom reached out to me, and I asked my kids, I said, how do you want to learn? There are multiple options, and, as far as like, how do you want to homeschool? You can go straight all online. You can do half and half. You can do half online, half paper, or you can do all paper. I was like, how do you, all 3 of them, the older kids, were so, I don't want to do nothing with a computer. I don't want to touch a computer. Because their learning had got so technology, like computer centered at school, they hated it. And I can understand, because it gets, sometimes computers can get really complicated in like sending and receiving and editing and developing and it's just a lot. So they were like, we want all paper. I was like, okay. So I started looking into curriculums, not knowing. I found some things, still not knowing, but I was like, well, just try it out. I mean, and I picked for me, so not to get too personal with the kids, but it happened to all of them. It didn't just happen to mine. It happened to all of them. Our school, our charter school, had some issues with the math teacher when they were in eighth grade. I can't remember, 8th or 9th. My daughter might have been 8th and my son was in 9th or something like that. And he ended up leaving. The math teacher ended up leaving, and the kid, it bombed. Like, the kids they didn't grasp anything that year from the learning. So I pulled my son right now, the 2 boys, they're the same age. They're in 11th and my daughter's in 10th. I had them tested from a good friend of mine who is a very, very good math teacher. And she put them all the way back in 7th grade math. She said it's not because there's things that they don't know. She said they're not comfortable in, like, their foundation was broken around, 8th grade. So we went to 8th grade pre-algebra, and that's where we started. And I would like to get them to algebra. And I know my kids have no desire. I know people all out there, but my kids have no desire to go to like I can't remember the name of it right now, but where like a 4-year or whatever college. If they do anything, it'll be trade related or a community college. That's just, none of them have a desire. I don't know about my youngest. We'll see. I'm not there yet. I don't have to have, his stuff doesn't count till later on. But, anywho's. So, we pulled them out. I prayed about it, and I was like, what is important to me for my children to learn in high school? I'll kind of jump on just like the 2nd grade. I just picked a curriculum for him because 2nd grade he's still developing his foundation. By 10th and 11th grade, you've got a foundation. Their foundation was very shaky in math. So I have that math teacher that helped, tested them for me, has multiple people that she knows that homeschools, and she suggested a math curriculum. And I told her, I said, I am not afraid to learn. I'm not afraid to study. I'm not, none of that. I just need to understand it before I can teach it. So we ended up getting Matthew C. That has been, and I'm not being funny, I'm not joking, that has been a blessing from the Lord. The curriculum is so well laid out. And I started in pre-algebra, so I don't know about the ones under. So I can only say for pre-algebra, it is just so good and so hands-on, and it has helped me. I feel so much more comfortable in that, and let me just say in pre-algebra. Like, we haven't went no further, and I'm learning with them. But now, like, we're building their foundation, and next year we'll be in algebra. And if I can get them through algebra, I'm fine. Like, they have no desire to go, like I said, in any career where geometry or anything's required. And yes, fine, it'd be great, but they don't. And if I can get them to end up algebra and feeling comfortable, that's my goal. And then I picked, I said economics was very important to me because of the way the world runs in the system. I wanted them to know that. The Bible, of course. I ended up not really liking the curriculum that I picked for Bible. Funny. I think it's called How to Study the Bible or something like that. Or no, I'll have to find it. But it was the one, they finished it. It was just, to me, and what I really wanted and what I should have done, and I bought 2 Bible curriculums at the same time. From the same company, that Generations company. Hang on, I'll get them. Okay. I went in and got my books. So, just to recap really quickly. This was the economics book that they did. I'm just going to be an honest reviewer. Okay. This book, this is the actual, what do they call these? textbook. This is the actual textbook. The workbook I didn't care for. It did not align well with what they read. I had trouble. They struggled. I had trouble trying to figure out what the answer was to the workbook questions because it didn't say it exactly how the book said it. And some of these questions, you know, like this section right here is talking about the most corrupt nations in the world. And, you know, like everything's biblical based, but stocks and bonds and fractional reserve banking and talking about money, and it just great stuff to learn, but the textbook was not aligned good enough for me. I told him, I said stop, and that was a wasted money on my part, but I said stop doing the textbook, just read the book. I was like, if y'all are reading and you're able to kind of talk about what you're reading, that's fine. So they finished reading. We didn't do the textbook. Here is the How to Think Biblically. I'm going to be honest. I told you, honest reviewer. Here's the two that I bought. I bought the book of Genesis in the beginning, and I bought How to Think Biblically. Because this was our first year, I really didn't know what I wanted to accomplish biblically. I wish I would have went with this one, and I'll tell you why. This book is very argument-based. So if your child or whoever, especially, I think of college. It makes me think of college a lot. Not that they're up to the college I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about, like, here's like an exercise part. And the children have to talk about fallacies, like false statements. Red herring, genetic fallacy, hasty generalization, repetition, revocation, and fallacy of the beard. Now, I don't know what those are. They kind of can tell me after, you know, they read the section. But some of the terms are so weighty terms that they don't get it at 15 and 16. And it honestly is just, how do you need to argue with someone biblically? What is the best, you know, and what kind of fallacies are they saying? You need to be able to identify their fallacy. It didn't, okay. Another. I had them they did do the worksheet with this. This one doesn't come with a workbook. It's got questions. I don't know if you can see with the sunshine, but it's got questions. They did those together. I couldn't help because I'm in here homeschooling the second grader, and the only subject that I was in with them on was math, and I made sure that the time lined up that I could be, and then I'll be done with my second grader and do math with them. I couldn't help. You couldn't. I don't even know what red herring is. Okay. This is the one I wish I would have done. Lesson learned. Okay. It's just lesson learned. This is literally about the book of Genesis. It goes through Genesis. It takes different scriptures, and they read them. They talk about them. That's what I wanted. I wish... see, this one sounded good. This was How to Think Biblically, Sound Reasoning in a World of Confusion and Contradictions. It sounds good, but this is the one I wish I would have done. Now, I'm not saying this one's bad or wrong. My children were not there. I knew that it was very evident to me very quickly that I could not use a full curriculum for them, because I can't take my children who have struggled, number one, through school, not on the smarts level, just with everything, with the drama that went on at the school, and they're worried about friendships, and the school was not biblical based, even though the vast majority of them were church friends or you know, whatever, but they didn't teach biblical. So I could not expect my children to be able to do a 10th and 11th grade level Christian history and start talking about, you know, like, does that make any sense? Like, I could not. It's like they skipped 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade of Christian history. So I'm going to jump in there and start telling them about Flavius Josephus. they're going to be like, Mama, who? What? Who is he? What does that matter? You know, Augustine, all these things. And I wasn't about to do that to them. They would just be mad at me and be sick of it. So we lessoned it up. We did economics, we did Bible, we did math, and there was a couple things in there sporadic, but that ended up taking the vast majority of our mornings because of reading. Like, they had a lot to read. And then math, it's just time. There's 2 worksheets, front and back every day, and you also have to do the lesson. Lessons learned. I mean, it is what it is. Lessons learned. So that's a little bit of our story. I have more books that I could put on here, review, whatever. Like I said, wouldn't trade it for nothing. Having my kids at home and being able to take a field trip when I want to take a field trip. And the thing that has sold me the quickest, number one is being able to teach them about the Lord. Like, that's beyond compared to me. But I always felt guilty when my kids were sick at school, and having to constantly keep up with excuse notes would make me so mad. I can't, because I have no control over when they're sick. So the constant feeling like they're going to have more absences and I'm going to get called, I couldn't. And I would never keep I like for my kids to learn. So I would never keep them out intentionally. But the constant pressure to make sure it was too much for me. So, like I said, I live in North Carolina, and I said it on my little bio thing, but the rules or regulations for North Carolina are extremely, there is a yellow jacket, don't bite me, please. Please, please, please. Are extremely way simpler. They only have to be tested 1 time a year, which was amazing. I see you down there. Sorry, y'all. I don't like bees. Especially not them kind. Hey, go away. Anywho's, they have to be tested 1 time a year at the end of the year. You can test them as many times as you want to. So, like, if I was a college loving, had to go, you design your path, how you want your child to get there. I'm not. So, I want my kids to be working for the Lord and happy in wherever He's called them to be, wherever that puts them. And we're a trade family. Like, that's just the trade. So, anywho, I will be glad to talk more about homeschool. I like I said, I'm learning. This is our first year. So I hope you enjoy our my little reviews. Like I said, I have more books. I'll be glad to show you the Noah plan and how that didn't work for us. And if you ever want to buy it, you can definitely contact me. I have a lot. I spent a fortune. I think I spent $2,000 back when he was maybe even a little bit more. But I don't know if you called it. I'll put it on here. But when Jacob's math, I'm using the same math that I bought 11 years ago. I like it. It is different. But I will switch to the math you see with Jacob when he gets older, because this math doesn't go up. The Right Start math only goes up to maybe middle school or something like that. 4th grade, 5th grade, something like that. So I will definitely be switching to the math you see because I enjoy it. So that's it. I hope y'all have a great day, and I'll see you later.